I'd like to call the September 28th School Board Action Meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Anderson. Here. Mr. Caligiuri.
Here.
Mr. Colson.
Here.
Mr. Devine.
Here.
Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Kolar.
Here.
Mrs. Stepnick.
Here.
Mr. Tomarello. Ms. Wetmore.
Here.
Ms. Strapcho.
Here. Yeah, here.
Thank you. The board met in executive session on September 28th, 2021 to discuss matters of litigation, safety, personnel, and real estate. I'd like to recommend approval of the following minutes as listed below.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We have some recognitions for tonight.
Yes, if we could have Dr. Zarmak, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm here with our Plum Senior High School senior, Ryan Kamunk. He earned his Eagle Scout this year. His topic, he had to present a topic. It's a 2-year process, and the topic he presented was on teen mental health. So we wanted to present him this award tonight and let him tell you briefly about his project. Thank you, Ryan. Next one.
So I took this project roughly 2 years ago in August of 2019 and took many phases to get done. But it was really important to get this topic done of like teen mental health because I saw an issue and I wanted to step up and fill that need. And so basically what I initially planned for was just a short film, like a narrative, nothing like factual. But later on, I did more factual narrative, like factual documentary instead, in which I interviewed 2 lovely people at our high school, Mrs. Plesko and Mrs. Jorgensen, on their perspectives of things. And I had to reach out for any students for any support for their perspective. Unfortunately, that was one of the main issues because I think it's still taboo in this day and age. So I had to interview myself because no one else really was not comfortable about it. And so I'm glad I got this project done and I'm glad it's going to help people. And I just want to make sure that it gets in the right hands and people have a better day because of it.
Dr. Renee Hershey, please.
Hey, Ryan, real quick. Ryan, can you come back up? Usually we have our seniors say what they're planning on doing after graduation. I'd love to be able to hear what you're doing.
It's a little early.
So you want to know what I'm doing for after high school?
Yeah.
Well, it's not really planned yet, but I have an idea so far, and I plan on doing like a 4-year college. I applied last month so far, and it got accepted like 5 out of 7 so far, but I'm not sure where to go because the major is a determining factor for me. But all I know is after high school, I just want to start my own company and help people out.
All right, good evening. Tonight we are recognizing some of the staff and students who helped us this summer in our first year of our summer mental health support camp. We called it the Summer Wellness Camp. We do want to thank you and recognize the board for their encouragement and support of us doing all of those summer programs this summer. I think that we reached a lot of students. One of those key programs was the Wellness Camp. That camp was developed in conjunction with Turtle Creek Valley. Turtle Creek Valley supports all of our schools in providing SAP services to our students in need. And we work closely with Jim Phillips and Jim Kumpf, who are both here today. And if they can both come up, that would be great. The two of those gentlemen were pivotal in running our summer program and also providing support throughout the school year. And they are going to introduce the students that were involved in serving as our counselors in training. It was a really fantastic program that we offered to some of our high school students who are interested in being involved. These ladies, they all ended up being ladies, were very pivotal in running this program this summer. They were, all the times that I had the opportunity to stop down and observe and check out what was going on, were highly involved with the students, creating fun activities, supporting the kids, building relationships, and they all did a really excellent job. So we're here tonight to recognize them and also the staff at Turtle Creek Valley for all the hard work they did this summer to run that program.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We were very impressed. I mean, this was the first summer that we were able to do a summer camp here in Plum Borough School District, and it was phenomenal. We were able to also involve the Plum Borough Police Department as well as the Fire Department and really open up the kids and the counselors that we had to, you know, some great positive things. I mean, especially to be able to do it in person. It was really a great thing and not have to do something virtually. And these kids, especially these counselors in training, and actually only 3 of them are here tonight, but we did have 7 girls from Plum Borough High School. So I'm going to read their names as well because they're not here. But the 3 that we do have here, we have Amelia Faust, we have Kate Monick, and we have Nola Timmons. And not here tonight is Aya Falaci, Sarah Musa, Hannah Carney, and we also had Emily Kimmel that graduated last year from your school district this past June. So I thank you for allowing us to do this program. It went really well, and we really hope to do it again next year because it was really such a success. And I do want to add real quickly, we had a parent night at the end, and we had probably 60-some people in this library. All the parents showed up. We did like a nice graduation ceremony for the campers as well as the CITs. And, you know, I really try to involve the parents, very important. So I was really happy and thrilled with that too. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I want to congratulate them for the most part because they were awesome.
If I can add, I had an opportunity to view this program in motion this summer. Thanks to Dr. Hershey and Mr. Phillips and Mr. Klumpf. It was amazing. And to the young ladies who are counselors in training, you may not realize it, but the work that you did impacted young children in a very real way. Their summers were better off because of it. And most likely, they're benefiting throughout the school year this year. They implemented very real counseling skills that were apparent. So my gratitude is to our staff, to Turtle Creek staff, and to our counselors in training. I look forward to supporting this as a board member and working with my colleagues to hopefully actually expand this program wherever possible. It was magnificent to see in action, and I agree the recognition at the end was so well attended. It was overly impressive. So congratulations to you all. This is just a fantastic program.
Thank you all. All right, before we open for citizens' comments, I want to take a second to first thank everyone that came out to speak at our last meeting for keeping the tone very civil. For tonight's meeting, we recognize that many of you are here to speak on the topic of masking, and we both honor and respect your right to share your points of view regarding your beliefs. Tonight's agenda will combine agenda and non-agenda items as it did last week, and they both appear at the beginning of the meeting as masking and health and safety plan is not on our agenda tonight. In an effort to honor your time, we have moved non-agenda items to the front of the meeting so that you have the opportunity to address the board without sitting and waiting to share your views. As a reminder, the purpose of citizens' comments is to hear from you, The board is to listen and weigh your comments, but the purpose is not to engage in discussion. There are a few items I wish to remind you of before we open the floor to citizens' comments. First, as an individual board member, I agree with those of you who are here who want a choice for masking. I missed the last board meeting because I, along with 2 of my children, had an extremely mild case of COVID. After going through that, those of you here to talk about making masking a choice, you had my backing then, and you have it even more so now. You have every right to voice your displeasure. 2 weeks ago, the board was given information from the Department of Education indicating, among other things, that any district going against this order would be subject to severe penalties, which include each of the board members and administrators being held personally accountable. The memo goes on to further state that we would not be protected under the district solicitor, and the 9 of us, whether you agree with us or not do this as a volunteer position. We are not willing to risk our personal finances or assets over this issue. Our superintendents, who are commissioned officers, are recognized and given commissions by the state. They could also potentially lose their commissions and therefore their livelihood. Again, something they are not willing to risk, which is following the governor's order. I stand behind your right to voice your disagreement, but this is the wrong venue to seek the change you wish to see. As I mentioned in the last meeting, we will keep this meeting civil and in order. Please refrain from harsh language or from directing your comments at any one school board member or administrator. Please address your comments to me directly as the presiding chair. As you entered the library, you should have noticed a sign respectfully requesting you to follow the required masking order and to maintain masking for the entirety of this meeting. I'm reminding you again now. As difficult as it would be to do so, if anyone has to be reminded a 3rd time, we will retire to executive session until the situation has been resolved, and you will be removed from the meeting and charges of disorderly conduct will be made. If this happens a 2nd time, we will adjourn the meeting and reconvene for our regularly scheduled meeting on 10/12. We will listen to everything you have to say tonight, but these ground rules must be followed. At this time, I'd now like to open the floor to citizen comments on both agenda and non-agenda items.
Anybody that would like to make comments this evening, we ask you to step to the podium one at a time, state your name and your residency within Plum. You will be provided 3 minutes to speak with a 30-second warning when your time is running short. We will also have a timer on the screen so you can keep track yourself so you can know when you start wrapping it up. We ask that you speak on behalf of yourself and not on behalf of any other individuals or groups. That all statements, as Mr. Devine said, were directed towards our board and not necessarily individual board members. If there are any audience members that would like to step forward, please do so at this time. And then we also have a sign-in sheet at the corner of the table, so when you're finished speaking, we ask you to just make your circle and put your name down so that I spell it correctly for the minutes.
How's it going this evening? My name is Michael Watson. I live in Plum, 516 O Block Avenue. I was here last week. I spoke on giving parents a choice. I wasn't here for the first part. I missed when you were just saying what you just reiterated. I think that's also a double-edged sword, though, is the liability, right? So liability being sued from the state or penalized from the state. Also, as a school board and being agents of the state, right? This is a corporation. You can also be personally sued by individuals for things that are policy that are made in here as well. So I asked on the legality of this, if there was liability. I was just putting the question out to the board. The concern is not just parents' rights, not just civil rights, not just human rights, but things that are also protected under our state constitution, our federal constitution, but also the criminal aspect of what some people would consider abuse, right? Mental abuse, as we just heard from a young gentleman, mental abuse, mental illnesses are on the rise, right? Especially during COVID. There's a lot of mass bullying, shield bullying, mask shaming. A lot of things are going on in the schools, and it's because it's something new. It's something for kids to see. Can't see people's faces. They don't know it might be bothering someone, but it's happening. There's a lot of things that I don't think any of us were prepared for this pandemic. Especially a school to be equipped with proper guidance or faculty to serve as as you're trying to do as more of a healthcare provider by providing sanctions on people's personal health, right? So, not that I know of, but I don't think that Plum Borough is trying to get into the healthcare business. I don't think they're trying to provide healthcare. I don't think that's in our mission statement, right? As a school district, right? We're just strictly education. So we're crossing some fine lines here. And I'm just wanting to make people aware of those lines that are being crossed. And I also want to point out that some parents, including myself, are losing faith and trust in the school district. We were sent a plan, a personal protection plan or the safety plan for this school year. It cited some things for, the recommendation, which wasn't from the governor, it was from the Secretary of Health, which is not legislation, but we're not going to go there, but I wanted to clarify. Saying that during sports, gym class, aerobic activities, masks will not be worn, there will be mask breaks. When they're outside, there won't be masks. I know for a fact in the school district that is not being followed. I have personally addressed that with the principals of the schools for my children on behalf of myself and other parents. And
Your time is up now.
there was no action. So,
So your time is up.
yes, sir. I apologize. I just want to know if that could be
Sir, your
addressed.
time is up.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your time. Sure. Yes.
My name is Marcia Usco. I live at 1532 Renton Road. In communication number 1, sent at the beginning of the summer for this school year, it read, "Our overarching goal would be to get to a pre-pandemic mode of operation as quickly and aggressively as is permitted." Those were your words. The only thing that we have seen happen quickly and progressively is return to this previous Corona prison mode of operation that we saw all of last school year. While I appreciate the situation the state has put you in as far as masks go with their order, I believe that you have taken that mandate to the extreme letter of the law. It is not a law, but that is beside the point. On the Department of Education website, it states, and I quote, "All individuals must wear face covering while in school entities unless they meet one of the exceptions in Section 3 of the order." I will not take the time to read those exceptions, as I'm sure you are all familiar with them. The state has clearly given you the ability to make exceptions for kids who experience physical or mental condition, who are participating in gym class or playing a sport. So, also on the state website, in answer to the question, are individuals required to show proof of an exception to the order? The website does not say that parents are required to show proof. It only recommends that students have a valid 504. It is recommended, not required. You are requiring a 504. The state is not. So to your argument that your hands are being tied by the state, I would say that it seems to me that you are the ones tightening the knot. If you really wanted to, you could, according to this order, allow students and parents to claim exception, and you could do so with impunity. Your unwillingness to do so greatly concerns me, as with the state pushing for vaccines for teenagers, and I'm sure that one will soon be coming to elementary students. If you cannot or will not stand up for a student's right to bodily autonomy on this issue, what assurance do we have that you will do so when it comes to bigger issues such as vaccinations? When will you begin to listen to the parents who elected you? What else will you do? What else will you allow into our schools, into our children? Please follow the mandate as it is written and allow exceptions to children who are suffering by wearing a mask. You are allowed to do so. Thank you.
Mr. Devine, I turn it back to you.
Thank you. All right, my report for tonight, the President's report is pretty short. We've now completed the first month of school and are only 3 weeks away from the end of the first grading period. School looks very different than it did only a year ago, but we have all of the children in our schools 5 days per week. And speaking with my children and many other kids around the district, they are just happy to be back in the classroom with their friends. We have a temporary principal at Pittsburgh Elementary. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome Dr. Christine Patty. We appreciate you stepping in to help and look forward to your experience and expertise. And we also wish Mrs. Gestrich well and hope for a speedy recovery and to get her back as soon as possible. Last month, our girls softball team held a skills clinic for our girls in both the 10U and 8U age ranges. The purpose of this clinic was to refine basic fundamentals as well as introduce new rules the girls have not seen as they make the jump up to the next age bracket. Coach DiLeonardo did an excellent job breaking the game down for these girls and developing their game. And a special thank you to Maura Marston, Geraldine Kincaid, Ashley Polakovic, Kendall James, and Mackenzie Lang for volunteering their time to make the 3-week clinic a success. All of our fall sports are underway. Good luck to our student athletes this season. And that is all I have for tonight. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Devine. Well, the school year has begun, and we are well into our 7th week of school. We intuitively knew that this year would be better than last year. After all, how could it be worse? But we also knew that we would continue to have challenges that would test all of us. But the most important point is that our children are going to school where we have come to appreciate greatly, and we understand that the classroom is where they learn best. As I said earlier, I truly believe that this year has been better than last year. To date, we have not had to implement any alternating days of instruction based on where your name falls in the alphabet. We have not had an athletic competition canceled. Students are meeting with their clubs and activities after school. We will be holding a homecoming dance this year. The student section at our football games are filled. Our facilities are open for outside groups like the PSSO and other community groups. We conducted SATs and we held our open houses. Notably, we have almost all our parents and families that have had the opportunity to go back to their places of employment can now because they know their kids can go to school and they can feel good about it. Slowly but surely, we are working to get back to normal. It is not perfect, and there are a lot of things that make people unfulfilled. But in a short time, we will be back to an even better place. I want to thank all those folks that have reached out to the administrative teams to show your support and your encouragement. Your kind words and your understanding are most appreciated. For those who are frustrated and share that with us, we hear you and do understand that these are difficult times, and our employees will do our very best to strive to create the most positive environment possible for the children of this community. And a special note to all the employees of the Plum Borough School District. Please know that your superintendent could not be more proud of each and every one of you for doing what you are doing for these kids in an environment that is testing what we are made of. You have taken that test and you are passing with flying colors. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Student representatives report.
There we go. Alrighty, so the first thing that I have is 2 weeks ago on September 16th, throughout that week, there was a Safe to Say conference in Pittsburgh. Plum Borough was invited to send 2 students to the conference to be able to take part in a student panel. I was one of the students who went along with Kai Johnson. Let me see. So we took part in the hour-long session where we tackled topics about the program itself, but also COVID's impact on our mental health and what being back in a semi-normal school year is like. We also learned from the program director, Brittany Klein, that Plum is one of the model schools for the Safe to Say program. And we're waiting for a link to be sent of the panel so that you all can watch it if you want, or even just the other high school teachers to see some of the thoughts we have about the implementation of the program. Tomorrow is also going to be the first activity period, as Dr. Hyland mentioned, with all the clubs. Everyone's looking forward to it. I personally am ready for French Club. And then also our annual charity Powder Puff game, we are still planning that. This year, student government is going to be partnering with the National Honor Society for donations. We're going to be splitting it half and half between the 2 clubs to the charities Make-A-Wish, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and the Corps Response for Hurricane Ida. NACDIS, our student council president, is actually making this a bit more community-wide. We're going to be having some food trucks at the event. The two businesses we have are the Pittsburgh Smokehouse and Dad's Mobile Grub. You can come from 5:30 to 8, he told me, so you want to keep that in your planners. And then Spirit Week will also be taking place October 11th through the 15th, leading up to the homecoming dance on the 16th. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. All right, moving on, personnel, Mr. Caligiuri, Lead Board Liaison, letter A, recommend approval to accept the following items 1 to 5 as listed below.
On behalf of the board, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Any abstain? Motion passes. Mr. Caligiuri, do you have anything to report tonight?
I don't, Mr. Devine, thank you.
Recommend approval to accept the following items A to J as listed below.
On behalf of the board, I'll make that recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes. Before we move on to the end of the meeting, does anyone have a report for tonight? All right, upcoming public meetings, we have a combined discussion and action meeting on October 12th, 2021 at 7 o'clock here in the library. I would now like to call the meeting adjourned. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes, meeting adjourned.